boy. About to go live. We're going live. What's up, everyone? Aaron Nagler here with Cheesehead TV, coming to you live on Wednesday evening, one night until the draft, roughly 24 hours until the 2020 NFL draft kicks off for what will undoubtedly be the most unusual draft of our generation, probably of all time. And we can finally shut the up about who the Packers are going to pick or what's going to happen or blah, blah, blah. They got to take a wide receiver. They got to take a defensive tackle. They have to clearly take a linebacker. It'll all be over, at least for the first pick. And then we can come back and do it again on Friday night. But we will be here on the YouTube channel, myself, Emery Hunt, holding it down. We will be having a very special collection of Packers bloggers, analysts, podcasters, etc. on a monster Zoom call, of which you can join if you're a Cheesehead TV Patreon member. Tomorrow morning, the invites will go out for patrons of Cheesehead TV to join us watching the draft on Zoom here on the YouTube channel. It's going to be a lot of fun. And before everything gets kicked off tomorrow, I'll be talking with Charlie Barons just because I'm a big believer in the mantra, go Packers, fuck the Bears. I mean, who can't get behind that? So there's going to be a lot going on. It's going to be a lot of fun. Hell, we got a lot of time to kill until the Packers pick, unless by some miracle Gutekunst trades up again. So we'll see what happens. We'll see what transpires. I hope you join us tomorrow night right here on the YouTube channel. Look out for tweets. Look out for Facebook updates. If you're on the newsletter, I'll be putting it out there too. Anywhere and everywhere, I'll be giving you all the goods. Cheesehead TV has got the draft covered for you. We'll have instant analysis of every pick. We'll have video breakdowns. We'll have things on social, Instagram, etc. So make sure you're not only here on YouTube, but you're following us on Twitter. You've got us friended, our page on Facebook. Make sure you like our stuff on Instagram. Anywhere and everywhere you want to be, that's where we're going to be. It's going to be a lot of fun. And I'm just so glad it's finally happening. Hello to everybody in the comments. Good to see you guys. Isaiah Campbell, no matter what. I like it. Already cues up Kevin Costner to watch tomorrow morning. Oh, Mike, draft day, an abomination of cinema, but understandable in the sense of getting one ready for the NFL draft. I can well get behind that. Grant, I like your thinking on Team Josh Jones. He was one of my top 5 draft crushes. A video that's still available here on our YouTube channel. Like I said in the video, he spent Senior Bowl week winning me over. I was kind of 50-50 on him. And then I watched him in those practices and in the game, and he absolutely sold me. I think the combine, pretty much solidified it, his testing numbers. And yeah, I would love, if he's the pick at 30, I tend to doubt he will be, but if he's the pick at 30, I'll be very happy. Blacklock at 30, John, that's another pick I would love to see. He's another guy I think makes a ton of sense. We've talked about it a lot here, both myself and Maggie Loney, about what a boon he would be to Kenny Clark, freeing up Clark from some of the double teams that he sees and allowing him to get upfield, taking up space. Hasn't done much as a pass rusher in college, but I think he's still got upside there. If nothing else, he'll draw attention in the middle, freeing up the edges for the Smith brothers, for Rashawn Gary. So, yeah, I love that pick at 30. And I think that's a very good possibility. I think there's a much better possibility of that being the pick than Josh Jones. Tim, thank you so much for the super chat. Jordan Love, no matter what, why do you hate draft day so much? Next. It's just a terrible film. It's just bad, man. That's a bad movie. Come on now. I think if it wasn't about NFL football and the draft, which everyone loves, clearly, if you're a football fan, people gravitate towards it for that reason. But if you look at it objectively as a piece of cinema, it is downright terrible. I mean, Kevin Costner, who I think is a very good actor in some cases, in some types of roles, and he's okay in that movie, but certainly nothing special that's going to transcend the idea of, oh, look at this terrible film, but it's got this amazing performance from Kevin Costner. Nah, that is not the case. Would Ruggs be the weirdest match for Green Bay out of all the wide receivers this year? Well, he'd be the most unusual in the sense that they don't typically go for speed, right? But I'll be shocked if he's there at 30, though. well, we'll see. Stranger things have happened. Christian, thank you so much for the super chat. Give me Mims, Ayak, or Blacklock. Hope you're well. Thank you so much, Christian. I'm great. I'm just excited to get the draft underway tomorrow night. I do miss the weekend draft, though. I do miss Saturdays and Sundays, especially when I was at Radio City. Hell, especially when I could go to it and just leave my apartment. But yeah, I think all three of those are really viable options. And any one of those, I wouldn't be surprised at. We'll see how it shakes out tomorrow night. Jake, thank you so much for the super chat. Any chance they move Jamal Williams during the draft if there is a running back they really like? I would suppose a very minimal one. I'd be very surprised given how much they like him as a complementary piece to Aaron Jones. He is entering the last year of his deal, and if they could get a draft pick for him, I think they would definitely listen if that phone call came. I can't imagine someone giving up a pick for him, at least anything of significance. And I think they'd much rather have him in the fold rather than move him for a late round pick. He is still very effective. He's not Aaron Jones. No one is. But I think he's worth much more to them than a late day 3 pick would be. Joseph, thanks so much for the super chat. Keeping in line with Nag's favorite movie, Kenneth Murray, no matter what. Nags. Hey, I tweeted it. I put I did my homage to draft day. Had my post-it note with Kenneth Murray, no matter what. I'm just living in this world for 24 more hours where it's a possibility, because I know after tomorrow night, it probably won't be a reality. But I'm still holding on to that shred of hope that Kenneth Murray is Packers and has a hat on in the next couple of days and is on a conference call with the local media. Can't wait until it doesn't happen. FMC, thanks so much for the super chat. We love LaVisca Chenault in green and gold. I would too. And I think it's funny watching the draft media and the kind of perceptions and narratives around him, because you've really seen it kind of rise up in late February, early March now, and then it fell down again. And now I think it's kind of upticking again. I am very curious to see where he lands and where he is valued as far as NFL evaluators go and what team ends up picking him and where. I can't really get a good handle. I think he could go in the first round. I think he could go late in the second. We'll see. We'll see where he ends up going. I do think he would be a perfect fit in Green Bay. There's zero question. The kind of guy who can make things happen with the ball in his hands, get him in space, let him work. I think, yes, I'm all on board with that. Luis, thank you so much for the super chat. Sup, Nags? Would be nice to pick up J.K. Dobbins. I've seen a lot of mention of him. I haven't heard anything as far as Green Bay being connected, but yeah, I think that makes sense. And I think second round is probably the right value, but who knows? It's all eye of the beholder, especially after the first 15 picks or so. So he can go pretty much anywhere in that second day, maybe even the top of the third. I hope they draft more than one linebacker and defensive tackle. Fix the damn defense. Whitney, I feel you. Well, they've taken a defensive lineman every single year, at least one, since 1985. So stands to reason there's a good chance that they take a defensive lineman at some point. As far as at least one linebacker, I mean, yeah, you would think they kind of have to for the moves they've made this offseason, allowing Blake to walk. It's clear, at least to these eyes, that Warren Burks is not your answer. Obviously, they went out and got Kirksey, but who knows with his injury history? Yeah, I think they have to draft a linebacker. Now, I will be absolutely floored if it happens early. And that's why I say I'm living in this world where I'm pretty resigned to the fact that Kenneth Murray won't be in green and gold. Because if the Packers have done anything over the last decade plus, they have shown that they really don't value inside backer. Now, here's hoping they buck that trend and prove me wrong. But again, I ain't holding my breath. Next, rewatching Red Zone today, it stood out to me Irvin was better than I thought in the run game. Oh, yeah, his vision, his cutback, a little pop, a little pep in his step. He really added explosiveness to the offense. And that's what I was most excited about when they brought him back, more so than what he did as a returner, which obviously was a big addition and gave them, an actual return game rather than the negative nonsense that they were dealing with most of the season. But his addition, not only in the run game, but as a receiver on that orbit motion, on the jet motion stuff, he can really be a chess piece for them. Now, I'm not going to sit here and tell you he's some amazing talent that is going to completely, open up the offense and make it next level, etc. But I do think especially if you watch the Detroit game where Aaron was really off for much of that game, but they had him on a number of plays where if Rodgers just hits him in stride, just puts the ball on him, he has a number of big plays in that game. So I do think, yeah, he adds a lot to the offense, both in the running game and in the passing game. But I agree with you. I think he is, of all the things he did last year, when he has the ball in his hands as a ball carrier, as a runner in the running game, I think he was very effective and did a really good job of creating even when stuff wasn't there. So I'm with you on that one, definitely. Dustin, thank you so much for the super chat. Would you be okay with Jake Fromm in the second? I mean, I'd have to be, right? I'd be surprised, but if that's their evaluation, if that's their determination, then yeah, that's Goody's call, and I got to get on board. I'm a Packers fan, and he's a Packer. I'm a fan, but I would be surprised. That's just my eyes looking at that prospect. Jake, saying thank you for the super chat. KJ Hamler is my wide receiver crush. He's dynamic with the ball. Haven't watched a lot, got to be honest, but we'll see what happens. I tell you what, if there's a wide receiver prospect you like, any of them, you got to think there's a legit chance that the Packers take at least 2 wide receivers tomorrow. Not tomorrow, but this weekend. Yeah, there's a good chance your favorite wide receiver ends up in the green and gold, unless it's like one of the top 4 or 5 guys. But there is a whole class full of dudes that could add athleticism, playmaking ability to Green Bay this year. Big B, what is up, my trivia stalwart? With how early we got Kirksey, would that devalue the inside linebacker slot in the draft? No, I don't think so. I don't think that does much to change any kind of plans they might have in the draft. It's not like it makes them a little less desperate, you know? But that's the idea. The idea of getting not only Kirksey, but Wagner is to allow them to breathe in the draft, to be, okay, we've got these areas covered in case. We don't have to reach. We don't have to, pigeonhole. We got to get this position or we got to get that position, which is what a lot of online internet evaluation, quote unquote, boils down to, which is why you can ignore most of it. But it just allows them to take the best player at a position of need. It's always talked about as best player available, but what that really means, usually, especially early, is best player available at a position of need. So yeah, I don't think it changes their plans as much, but it gives them flexibility. No doubt about that. Dylan Beamer, thank you so much for the super chat. Off subject, how dare you? Have you read Armada? No, by Ernest Cline. No, I have not. Pays homage to Star Wars and other sci-fi works. Decent lockdown read. It got me to the draft. I have seen it and picked it up probably 100 times at Barnes & Noble. Never read it. But thank you for the recommendation. I will definitely have to get to it sometime here in the next month or so during lockdown. Yeah, I have not, like I said, it looks amazing. Thanks. I'll definitely have to check it out. Mm-hmm. Trade up for Murray and then go get receiver in the late second. I mean, a lot of people have posited the idea of trading up for a wide receiver, which I would be surprised at. I would absolutely pass out with surprise if they traded up for an inside linebacker because of what I was just talking about. They have clearly shown that inside backer is not a priority. And that doesn't mean that they don't recognize its importance. They just think other things are more important, especially given the nature of the game, tackles, defensive tackles, offensive tackles, cornerbacks, quarterbacks, obviously, and then skill position players, then safeties, then inside backers. I mean, you can't deny where they think that value is. Joseph, thank you so much for the super chat. Wanted to pay to express how much I dislike KJ Hamler as a prospect. Also, hit like, hit subscribe, and become a Patreon. Tyler Johnson is my crush. Tyler Johnson. I'm down with that. Hey, hit like, hit subscribe. And speaking of Patreon, Patreon members tomorrow night will have the opportunity to join us here on the YouTube channel via Zoom. We're having a Zoom meeting / room / whatever you want to call it. Draft war room, I think is what Corey has dubbed it. We're going to invite a whole lot of people. Everybody with Cheesehead TV is going to be invited on. And then if you're a Patreon member, you'll have the code, you'll have the access, you'll have the number to dial and the means to hop on board. Granted, provided we don't go over the limit, which is in the hundreds, but it's going to be a lot of fun. Be a lot of Packers fans hanging out watching the draft. I hope you can join us. Would I take Jerry Jeudy at 30? Is this a trick question? Yes, I would. I know there's been some questions about the knee or whatever, but yeah, in a heartbeat. Yes, there's no way he's going to be there at 30, though. I mean, I say that now and then watch him be available at 30, but yeah, no. Yes, I would take him. I will be absolutely shocked if he's there. Michael Lombardi is predicting cornerback for the Pack in the first. Haven't seen that elsewhere. You buying? Absolutely. I think it's a possibility. We've talked about it a lot here as far as needs, and picking for a year away is what they have done a lot of under Ted Thompson. Obviously, Gutekunst's carrying on that tradition somewhat. The game we used to play back in the day was look at whose contract is up next year and then expect one of those positions to get taken early and another one to get taken probably on the second day. What they do a lot of is projecting who they are most likely to let go and allow to walk into free agency, and then try to draft their replacement. If that is the case and they stick true to form, you can expect a running back, most likely to replace Jamal Williams. And there's a good chance that Kevin King's replacement might get drafted. Not saying that could happen, but if they took somebody at 30, you would think that's what they're guarding against. Now, that's not to say that the decision is made. There's no way they're going to bring him back, but it not only helps you in a position where, like I said before, premium, something you're always going to need a lot of. They're harder to find, and you churn through them like something fierce, especially for the Packers. So, yeah, a corner at 30 would not surprise me whatsoever. And actually, if you checked out my podcast with Chad Reuter at NFL.com, who knows the draft game better than anybody, he had the Packers trading up, I think it was to 23 for a corner. So make sure you check that out. That's on our Patreon, patreon.com/CheeseheadTV. Nagler's never right. Bryson, thank you so much for the super chat. I can't wait to sit for 3 hours just to watch the Packers trade out of the first round at the last second. I'm expecting it. Don't think it's not a possibility because, yeah, I would not be surprised whatsoever, especially, you get down there at the bottom of the first round. If there's a team desperate to get back into the first round because, say, there's a quarterback that fell or there's a prospect that they just love, that they want to get that fifth round option that comes with a first round selection. They want to get that. And the Packers are sitting there with a bunch of guys who have the same type of grade. They're all in the same tier, so to speak. There's a good chance that Gutekunst makes that trade. So, yeah, I definitely wouldn't discount it. Will Bane make an appearance tomorrow?
You have merely adopted the draft. I was born in it, molded by it.
Something like that. Would you rather have two? Whoa. Would you rather have two Kenny Clarks or two Jair Alexanders? Oh, wow. Probably two Kenny Clarks. Game's one up front. Jair's the man. I love him. But, yeah, two Kenny Clarks. Colts and 49ers are perfect trade partners at 31. Possibly, although I expect the Colts probably would. I don't know. We'll see. 49ers, they desperately need picks. They're trying to move both their first-round picks from reports. So we'll see. After that, those first two picks, I don't think they have another pick till the fourth round. So they're trying to, they're definitely trying to get picks. Tim, thanks for the super chat. Is Tony Mandrich the biggest Green Bay draft miss ever? Oh, yeah. Rich Campbell was bad. They've had some bad ones, but yeah, Tony's the worst. No question about it. He is in discussions for worst draft bust of all time, let alone in Green Bay. You could probably make a case for one or two other guys. An old school Oakland quarterback comes to mind. But, yeah, Mandrich by far and away is the worst. We talked about it on trivia the other day. When you take Tony Mandrich second overall and then the next three dudes taken all end up being Hall of Famers, yeah, that's a big miss. Tim, why you got to bring up the sad times? Because they're part of the reality, man. I know we're all living in this hope and love and peace and, oh my gosh, the draft is coming and we're trying to ignore coronavirus outside and we're all trying to live in hope. But, can't deny the bad days. They happened. They're there. Cautionary tale. NFL games are won and lost up front. Give me the bigs. Matt, I'm with you, buddy. Justin Harrell is up there. Oh, yeah. Harrell's in the convo for second worst. There was a guy back in the 80s, the first pick in the 80s, actually. Can't remember his name. I think it was, what was his name? Thomas? No. But he flat out refused to play in Green Bay. Went up and played in Canada. That's how bad it was. People flat out refused to come to Green Bay to play when they were drafted. That's how awful it was in the 80s. So there have been some bad ones. But Mandrich is absolutely number one with the bullet. Do you think Gutekunst shies away picking guys because of their RAS? Relative athletic score? Do I think he shies away? I mean, he certainly has a penchant for taking them, right? Guys above a certain threshold. I can't remember what the number is, but the results speak for themselves as far as Ted did it, and Gutekunst in his first two drafts seems to have gone down the similar path. Will he shy away from it? He'll tell you he doesn't. He'll tell you that first and foremost on his mind is, can they play? Are they players? Are they football players? Are they guys who, when you turn on the tape, you can see they can play the game? He talks about that a lot. But the evidence would suggest that, yeah, possibly he does shy away a little bit if the score isn't meeting their standard threshold. So we'll see how the draft shakes out. As I always say, though, I mean, they have those thresholds for a reason, and they've produced a lot of good results. Obviously, some bad results. Every team has them. But for the most part, they have a way of working, and it has produced a lot of good players for Green Bay. Bruce Clark, thank you. Keith, thanks. I was going to say Clark, but then I was like, am I thinking Kenny Clark? But no, you're right. Thank you. Bruce Clark was the defensive tackle who refused to play in Green Bay when he was drafted and went to Canada. Will they space fans 6 feet apart in the stadium? James, I'll be shocked if there are fans in the stadium, at least early on. Don't forget, the NFL is set to release their schedule in early May. And word is that it will be very apparent that how it's going to set up is it's going to be backloaded with lots of divisional and conference games. And the early games will all be like out of conference, out of division, etc. So that as the year goes on, if necessary, they can lop off weeks. So then all of a sudden it becomes a 15-week season and a 13-week season and a 12-week season. So I think those first, that first month and a half of games, I'll be shocked if there are fans in the stands. I mean, I don't want to talk about current events and I don't want to get political. I'll just say, if they don't ramp up testing, I don't even know how they play. The NFLPA already talked about the need for testing, widespread testing. Today that came out. They're talking about, well, if we can't get every single guy tested, and let alone training staff, coaching staff, personnel people, officials, etc., just to get the game going. And then all the people in the broadcast team, because are they going to play these like without broadcasts? No, of course. They're going to have to broadcast them. So then all those people involved in the television, they all got to get tested. And now you're going to test, make sure that 70,000 people are tested? We got to ramp up testing yesterday for any hope of an NFL season. It's as simple as that. Aren't rookie camps and off-season programs usually starting in about 2 weeks? No. Usually they're starting this week. The Packers actually started their off-season program on Monday, virtually. Teams with new head coaches started last week. So, yeah, the rookie arrival would be next week, and OTAs would be, starting next week, and then mini camp right up till June, basically. But all that is out the window. They're going to be doing remote stuff for the most part for probably a month and a half or so until they break for the summer, and we'll see where we are. Bryson, thanks so much for the super chat. Do you think we will turn into the Dolphins post-99 after Rodgers retires? Hitting 3 Hall of Fame quarterbacks in a row seems unlikely. Yeah. I don't expect a Hall of Fame quarterback, but I would love to get a competent quarterback, which is challenging enough. I mean, forget Hall of Famers. That ain't going to happen. Don't expect it. If it does, great. You're the once in a billion time franchise, and we can all rub it in everybody else's faces around the league. But I just want a competent quarterback, man. The likelihood, and I don't want to besmirch the guy's name, but think back to when Brett Hundley was your starter for that stretch while Aaron Rodgers was out. That's the most likely outcome of what Green Bay Packers football will look like after Aaron Rodgers retires. So we'll lap it up. right now. What time does your stream start Central Time tomorrow? It'll be 7:30 Eastern, 6:30 Central. I'll be here, and then Charlie Barons and I will chat, and then I'll bring Emery on. And the draft will start at 8 this time, 7 Central, and then we'll be off. And then the Zoom call we'll bring on probably about 8:30 or so, 7:30 your time, and it's going to be a lot of fun. With that said, I'm going to jump. Still got lots to do tonight. You know, the work never stops at Cheesehead TV, but please hit like, hit subscribe, tell your friends, tell your family. Cheesehead TV. We're devoted to Green Bay Packers fans worldwide. Have a good night, everybody. Go Pack Up.